Hi guys, welcome back. Chapter 20, looking at section 2 today. We're going to talk all about why you shouldn't smoke or use any tobacco products at all. Okay, so let's talk about what is in cigarettes. I'm going to start with cigarettes and then we'll talk about vaping as well. Before I even get there, yes, those are lungs. Okay, the nice pink lungs are healthy lungs. Those are non-smokers' lungs. Okay, these nasty black lungs are smokers' lungs. Okay, now there's some controversy, and I had trouble finding the clear, distinct answer to this. Oftentimes, lungs like this are shown, and they're used to teach kids that that's the tar. I'm going to talk about tar. The tar that causes those lungs to become black. And it actually makes sense when I kind of talk to you about tar. But there's some controversy that maybe that it's actually the cancer that's in the lungs that makes them black. In any case, that's an incredibly unhealthy lung, okay? We're going to talk about lung cancer, and it's a huge risk of smoking, okay? Again, the nasty black lung down there, that is a smoker's lung, okay? So regardless of whether it's the tar or the cancer that's making it look like that, it's the smoking that made it look like that, okay? As opposed to that nice pink lung up on the top, okay? So anyway, chemicals commonly found in cigarettes. Tar is a byproduct of burning tobacco leaves, okay? Tobacco is a leaf from a plant. And it's this dark, sticky substance that settles on everything. I know my grandma was a smoker for years, and when we went in and repainted their house, we took pictures off the walls, and there was like an outline on the wall, because even when you exhale that smoke, some of that tar is getting deposited on things. We talked about cilia in the last lecture. The cilia are those little tiny hair-like projections that sweep mucus down into your stomach, down your esophagus. That tar causes those cilia to stick together. And so you suddenly can't clear the mucus as easily, but you also don't trap dust and bacteria as much. So smokers tend to cough more because they have to clear that mucus themselves because the cilia doesn't work. That tar also makes it all the way to the lungs and gets deposited in the airways and in the alveoli, okay? We also have carbon monoxide found in cigarettes. It is a clear, odorless gas that can kill you. If you have a carbon monoxide leak in your house, it can kill you. If you smoke it, though, what it's doing is it's replacing the oxygen. Remember, we talked about the red blood cells and the hemoglobin, and they chemically combine with oxygen? Well, that protein, hemoglobin, actually likes to combine to carbon monoxide even more. And so if you inhale cigarette smoke, that carbon monoxide is going to hug to that hemoglobin, and the oxygen is not going to get to stick to it. So that's why smokers they always seem like they're out of breath, because they're not getting as much oxygen as they should be getting. And then finally, there's nicotine. This is the common one. And it is a chemical. It's an additive. It's actually added to the cigarettes to make them addictive. The cigarette companies do this because they want people to buy their cigarettes. It is considered a drug, and it changes your brain chemistry, and you actually crave it, and you go through withdrawals if you stop smoking. But the physical effect it has is it raises your heart rate and your blood pressure. Well, your heart works hard, and your heart will last a certain amount of years, you know, and you're causing your heart to work harder and faster by introducing nicotine into your body. And so one of the common problems with smoking is heart disease, because your heart wears out faster, okay? So now let's talk about some of those smoking-related illnesses. Lung cancer is the biggest one, okay? This is an X-ray, and you can kind of see this shadowy mass right there. That is a tumor, okay? Lung cancer is probably the number one related illness to smoking. Now, that doesn't mean people can't get lung cancer that don't smoke. It just means you greatly increase your chances of lung cancer if you do smoke. Emphysema. So those little air pockets at the end, those little alveoli at the end, basically collapse when you have emphysema. And it's much harder for a person to actually exhale and get rid of all the carbon dioxide in their body. And oftentimes those people have to go on oxygen just to help them get the oxygen they need because those alveoli aren't working as well. Chronic bronchitis. If you've ever had bronchitis before, you've had what's known as acute bronchitis. And acute means temporary. Chronic means long-lasting. So if you've ever had bronchitis and you know that like nasty raspy cough you had and maybe that tightness in your chest, imagine that never going away. Okay? That is a common smoking-related illness. This increases your chance of stroke because the nicotine increases your blood pressure. Increases your risk of heart attack because you're causing your heart to work harder. And there are approximately 480,000 smoking-related deaths per year in the United States. Okay, that's almost 500,000. And then more than 7 million worldwide smoking-related deaths to smoking. This is why we have so many regulations on it, and this is why people encourage you just not to start, because once you start, it's very easy to become addicted to it, and it's a very expensive habit as well. Okay, you probably want to pause the video and kind of take some time to look at this poster here. I have another visitor to show you. Isn't she cute? Okay. Kind of goes through and talks about some of the risks of smoking. Addiction can cause wrinkles and other skin problems. It can increase your chance of cataracts that's in your eyes. You can get mouth cancers and throat cancers. You can get the increased heart disease and lung disease. And it smells, it's stinky. All right, now the question that everybody's asking, what about vaping? Okay. Unfortunately, vaping is being marketed as the healthy alternative to smoking. And that's very misleading, okay? Now, it's true that the vaping doesn't produce the tar that a cigarette does. But that doesn't mean that it's healthy, okay? Because it still contains nicotine. It's still very addictive. But in addition to that, these vaping products, these chemicals that are in the vaping product, they get heated up, they become aerosolized, and then you inhale them. There's all kinds of other chemicals in there, okay? One of the chemicals is called diacetyl, okay? Now, diacetyl is what causes popcorn lung, and I'm going to talk about popcorn lung on the next slide, so hold that thought, okay? But the diacetyl is what causes, it's what flavors the vape products, okay? Now, those flavors are intentionally being marketed to kids your age. Again, back with the cigarettes, that nicotine was added on purpose to make it addictive because they want to make money. Cigarette companies have moved into vaping products because people finally know that cigarettes are very unhealthy, and so they've lost a lot of business. So now they've produced these vape products, and they are intentionally marketing them to kids, enticing them with these different flavors, okay? But it's still addictive. It still contains nicotine. It still causes those other problems with your heart and potentially your lungs. Plus, there's just a lot that's not known. When people first started smoking cigarettes, everybody smoked. Everybody smoked, okay? This is back in like the 50s. Because it wasn't known that cigarettes were unhealthy. They just did it. They enjoyed it. And then as years went by and more scientific studies happened, and you had people that had been smoking for a long time getting sick, we were able to collect the data to determine that cigarettes are actually very harmful. Well, the vaping hasn't been around that long, so we haven't had the opportunity to collect the data from the people that are getting sick, okay? I don't know, I think any kind of chemical that's going into your lungs is a bad idea. Your lungs aren't created for that. They're very fragile, okay? So just be forewarned, okay? So now let's talk about that popcorn lung a little bit. So popcorn lung is actually called bronchiolitis obliterans. Now that's a fancy word, but obliterans sounds like obliterate. I don't want to obliterate anything that's in my lungs, okay? What happens with it is this chemical, this diacetyl, that used to be found in microwave popcorn. That's what flavored the microwave popcorn. That's why this is called popcorn lung. It scars the narrow air passages in your lungs and the alveoli. Have a piece of lung here. This is a dried piece of lung. This is the front of the lung. This is the back of the lung. This is like a slice of it, okay? And if you look real closely, you can kind of see those dark patches. Those are the little airways, okay? And they're little tubes, actually, that run through the lungs. And then the rest of this is real spongy. This is where all the alveoli would be, okay? If you ever want to know what asthma feels like, breathe through a drinking straw for a couple minutes. Don't do it too long because it'd actually be dangerous. Now imagine all of those airways narrowing, and it's just, you're ruining your lungs, okay? Well, this diacetyl was ruining so many people's lungs, they banned it. They took it out of microwave popcorn, and they came up with something else to flavor the popcorn. But that same chemical is still being used in e-cigarettes to flavor them. And it's causing popcorn lung, okay? So be careful. There's also smokeless tobacco. Baseball players in particular love this, dip or snuff or chew or lots of different names. It can cause its own health problems. Oral cancers, gum, tongue, throat cancers are very common with smokeless tobacco. Plus, it's just disgusting. If you ever see somebody spitting a lot, my 7th grade teacher, actually, he would dip in class, and he always had this little pouch in his gum like that, and he had a bottle, and he would spit in the bottle, and it's just gross. But it's also harmful. It's also dangerous and cause all these mouth sores, and then gives you bad breath, and ugh, so gross. So how do we stay healthy? Okay, the theme has been the same. Okay, balanced diet, exercise, and don't smoke. Don't try it at all. Don't use any tobacco products at all. Vaping, chew, any of it. Because even that smokeless tobacco contains the nicotine. It's the same product, it's just a different delivery, and it can cause problems for your heart. Okay, so take care of yourselves. Don't do it. See you guys later.